welcome to Eden Fractal meeting number 44. Today is Wednesday, April 5th, and I'm here with a bunch of awesome people. We're talking about audio routing and making things work better on computing. Andrew, who's not on the screen right now, he was here helping us out with some of his audio engineering expertise, as well as Eric too. It's great to see Pascal and Rosemary and Joe and Lisa and Tadas and Jorge. Thank you, everybody, for watching and joining us. Great to see you, Lisa. We're also talking about Alien World stuff. Dwayne was here as well. Dwayne was sharing some exciting plans that he's working on with Joshua and the NDAO. So all sorts of cool stuff going on. We're going to go into breakout rooms in like 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to share a quick presentation to recap some of the progress in Eden Fractal in recent weeks, and then also the topics on the agenda that are we'll discuss after the breakout rooms. Before I share the presentation, would anybody like to say hello, or I suggested sharing a joke before. If anyone wants to share a joke or anything like that, share something fun, then feel free. Or I can just jump into the presentation.
I'll say hello. I don't have a joke. I was thinking if I have a joke, maybe I'll come up with a joke.
Okay.
You need a joke? What do you call a schizophrenic Buddhist monk?
I don't know. What do you call it?
A man who is at two with the universe.
Man, is that two with the universe? Okay, that's a good one. I like that. And we got Tadas for people on Zoom. And Zoom has some new like laughing emojis too. Tadas is really cracking up there. Thanks for sharing that joke right in the spot. That's a good one. That's a deep one, Eric. And Andrew, I look forward to hearing your joke when you think of it at some point. Maybe we'll have that later. Cool. So I'll share a quick presentation. Looks like while Andrew is deep in thought over there.
I got one. Okay,
what did
did you hear about the dyslexic who went down to the corner and sold his soul to Santa?
I did not hear about him. No.
That was the whole joke.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this. Dyslexic.
He sold his soul to Santa.
Because he was dyslexic?
Not Satan, Santa.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see it. That one is a tough one to think about without seeing. But good one. Thank you. Maybe we should start off with more jokes, and I'll listen to that one and laugh more in the future. Hope everybody's enjoying it. And thanks, Andrew.
Well, usually a joke is not as good the second time. I'll think of a better one next time. That seems like a good.
So we've been talking about Notion a lot. I see that Notion is trying to add buttons and automations into their websites. That's cool.
Yes, absolutely. That's very cool. And that relates to the last week's presentation as well, or last week's, that was a joke with minimum IQ requirements, as Jorge says. So yeah, and apparently I didn't have the IQ to get it immediately. But yeah, being on Notion, we discussed that a lot last week. So thanks also, Eric, for the segue. And we should be rather quick because we're at 16 UTC right now. So I'll just share a very quick presentation to give people an update. This is the top of the welcome article that I'm still working on to welcome everybody in there, but I figured I'd open up because it has a nice intro. Last week we did explore Notion workflows. As Andrew was saying, there's new features for buttons and also many other new features that can help communities cooperate much more effectively. So I've been super excited about it, and we discussed this for about an hour in the Kajendas game last week. You can check out the video at edenfractal.com/43 and also on the Eden Careers YouTube channel. I'm going to also add more show notes here. I'm going to be featuring a little bit more about the Notion workflows and then sharing some links to some great templates that I've been exploring. And then also I'll write a little story, I think, about EOS Punks. Pascal released the EOS Punks NFTs. They're really cool. I'm really excited about it. I was inspired to write a lot about it recently. We also have been doing some fun hat parties at the end too, but haven't had a chance to finish these show notes, but I'll share more details about the Notion progress soon, as well as the other exciting stories. I also did go back to the show notes for week 42 and week 41, where we had Pomelo pitch sessions and also talked about Aquadac. I added some stories about Fractal Apple and more about the Antelope Workshop. I won't go too into it here too much, but just letting everybody know that these show notes are coming along and we're highlighting some of the recent progress. The past few weeks have been awesome with our Pomelo campaign, quite successful a few weeks ago, and then releasing new shows. I also featured Rosemary's new show, Community Stories, in a story. So working on that and Aquadac. And then, yeah, so lots more coming along and great to see all the progress. Thanks once again, everybody. Topics on the agenda today for agendas. Right now, I think there's only one topic on the agenda, but there's also a couple from last week as well. So Vlad made a topic proposal for the Eden plus Fractal smart contract update, updating the software in some way with 2 MSIGs that he proposed. So looking forward to hearing from Vlad. The one about the participant agreement still on the list from last week. So if we have more time, then we can get to that. But I think this will be quite detailed from Vlad. I'm looking forward to hearing from Vlad. So that will be the topic that we discuss after the breakout rooms, and encourage everybody to make proposals and vote more in the future as well. Vlad, you can see his Telegram post here where he talked about how he'd like to discuss these smart contract updates, and he provided the GitHub repository with the code. So he kept the details pretty sparse, as you can see in here. He just shared the proposals basically. So looking forward to seeing what this means in more layman's terms. And I'm sure Vlad will break it down for us more easily. He did recently finish the MSIG automation features. I featured this in an old story in edenpractical.com/42. where he announced it. And then he also gave an interview with Patrick. So if anybody hasn't checked that out and is curious to learn more, then I think that these resources will probably be helpful to understand and are probably related to Vlad's proposals. I've also been curating these. I've been working a lot on edencreators.com/tools to curate some of the tools that Eden Fractal is building to help people cooperate. And there's a little article there. I'll share more details about that in the future as well. But first we'll go into play Eden Fractal in the breakout rooms, or rather play Eden plus Fractal. And then looking forward to hearing, I see Vlad has joined now. Welcome, Vlad and Tadas and Joe. Hope everybody's doing good. Does anybody have any last words before we go into breakout room, or are we all ready to go in? Looks like we're ready. Welcome, Red, as well. And I will start the breakout rooms now. We got 2 breakout rooms. And oh, great to see you, Red. Oh, Red's got a cool background too. Very cool. Well, and looking, speaking with Red too, Red, you got some really cool stuff going on. So looking forward to speaking with you more there. But yeah, I'll start the breakout rooms and we'll talk more later. Hope everybody has a great time. Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Hey.
Hey, Jorge, good to see you.
Hello.
All right.
Pascal. Yeah.
What are you saying, Jorge?
What's up, Pascal?
Yeah. Hi.
Mr. Vaitier Kunas,
What?
Mr. Westwright,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Killjoy, Mr. Space Wrangler. Have the greatest of days.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Would anybody like to lead or kind of host or moderate this breakout room? I'm happy to do so if you'd like, but if anybody else wants to, that would be cool as well. I guess not. I guess that's a no. Okay.
I'm fine. If you want to lead it that.
Cool. Sounds good. Cool. Does anybody want to go first and share what they're up to, or yeah, share any other thoughts on their mind before we go into it?
Maybe I would volunteer to go first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sounds good,
So
Pascal.
hi everyone. I'm Miss Pascal. So my contribution this week has been mostly working on the EOS pumps, which is pixels that I wanted the EOS community to have their own pixels. Maybe I can share some links if you want to see exactly what I'm talking about. So the pumps are you're gonna be 500. It's 500 unique NFTs minted on EOS blockchain, and then the idea is to recognize those who are contributing, writing, building on EOS, to have this unique image, so that I can build a community around it. So it represents early contribution to the new EOS and to the social fi community. I'm building the social fi community, and then those NFT represents those contributions. More use case or more utilities. I'm working on bringing more utilities to those NFTs. They are dropping every 2 days or every 3 days. For the hidden fractals, one of my ideas is to work with Dan on a way that we can give some to those that attending these sessions. So it's still a reflection, but it's one of one idea. So I need to work with that with Dan, how we do it. But I want to thank Dan also for his support. It shows what he's building, in terms of the fractal. I really love what he's doing here every week in the fractal, and I recognize it by some sort of digital asset. Whatever we mean, it's important for me. Tiago Reis, my blogging platform is also showing some sign of positivities in terms of bringing content creators. I announced 1 week ago that I'll be pivoting. At this point, publication is around EOS and Bitcoin contents. So I'll be pivoting to be blockchain agnostic, and then go straight into social finance contents. So everything related to social, DeFi, will be indexing it on the Hive blockchain. So it's blockchain agnostic, and related to everything to social fi, which is one of the areas that the blockchain is involving around. I believe EOS has the potential to bring value to content creators and content curators. Those who like content, they are contributing in this ecosystem. Those who are giving their time, they are contributing. So finding a way to reward those contributors is what Tiago Reis is all about. Rewarding content producers and content curators. So that's it for my contribution this week. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal.
If you have any questions, I will go to Eric, please.
Well, I'll just say first, thanks, Pascal, and I really appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the kind words and support and appreciation.
Are we fine? I'm missing.
What's that? Can you hear me?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was saying thank you, and I think the work you're doing is amazing. So, yeah, that's all I want to say, I suppose.
Thanks.
Cool. Well, I took the first vacation I've had in 3 years. I've been a student, so I've just been in school nonstop with hardly any break. So I got back from Tokyo, and my primary goal was to re-engage the art community because they fell apart a little bit while I was gone. So I realized that, one, we kind of have to prime the pump and help maintain an organization that we're going to develop. So we can't just go in for fractals. We have to think holistically about the organization. So I've actually started moving my office on Tuesdays to the art gallery. So I'm actually working all day just on them. So we really worked on infrastructure for the organization and goal setting. I also had a big marketing meeting with an expert, and it was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was about 4 hours, about how do we market this among organization. And this woman is very high powered. She does Legoland and national brands and things like that. So then I went back and wrote up a lot of that. So I've been working with the organization on their infrastructure, on their goal setting, and on extending the community, because what we're doing is putting the hooks so that we can use the fractal and extend it about not just the local community, but about art in general. And so we had some really in-depth discussions sit down, working, roll up the sleeves to do that. So a lot of my work was just one, keeping the fractal going. They wanted to move the time and kind of resetting. The marketing person got overwhelmed, and she's still there, but she's not managing the marketing, which in some ways gets more flexibility. But so we've had to reprime the way we're doing the marketing for that. And then I've had trouble with the t-shirt thing we've been doing with the creator of that. So fighting on that thing. And on the Center for Governance with Alien Worlds, we basically got approved to build the Center of Governance. There is an Eden office in there. And of course, Dan is the director of communications for that once we going. So hopefully we'll get some money there and I can distribute against the directors with Tadas and Dan and everybody else doing tools and things like that in there. But we picked a new spot on Neri, so I rebuilt the building because it was on a grassy slope and there are no grassy coastlines in Neri, so we had to rebuild the building to the desert. So I'm ready to go with the Notion page on that. So hopefully within the next couple weeks that'll get going. And with that, I'll turn it over to Das.
Thank you. Yeah, so this week I've been working again on smart contracts for Firmament. So far until now, I've been mostly focusing on them as they would run on normal blockchains, because it was easier that way, because that's the normal context, execution context of Solidity smart contracts. But now I'm thinking about how more about how they will execute in a browser, and more importantly, how blocks will be discovered and stored in IPFS. So yeah, basically trying to connect everything together to a bit at the design architecture stage in that sense, but yeah. Yeah, so while still a lot of technical stuff, I won't expand into it. But yeah, slowly moving forward. Besides that, I don't think I have anything else to share this week. And Joe?
Hi guys. Mine should be short, well under 3 minutes. I didn't accomplish a lot towards EOS this week. I basically been proselytizing a little bit. I've been pretty busy on this project I'm working on. I've been trying to introduce the concept to the inventor of this thing, the founder of it's fractal based. So yeah. So I've been trying to introduce him to that. I'm trying to get involved with the Eden so I can actually do the vote. I know that's coming up. I know Dan was going to send me something. I had someone come to the meeting last week, so I kind of discussed it with him a little bit and asked about his reaction and how he thought, it could be implemented in the stuff that we already do outside. And spoke with Lisa about the unconference a little bit, but really pretty basic stuff this week for me. Yeah, and that's about it. And I will go with Jorge.
Hello, thank you. Last night we had the weekly meeting of the Spanish speaking fractal. And the big news relatively big news is that we are preparing the second on-site physical meeting, which will be held next week on Monday at a restaurant, which is still to be defined, in Bogota. There, merchants will come and exchange their goods and services using the Respeto token, which is right now still being accounted in a spreadsheet. Aside that, I got into Notion, and I shared a couple of videos in the Eden Fractal channel and also in the Spanish-speaking Fractal channel, because I see there an opportunity to create a website for each of the merchants of the Spanish-speaking community. These people are usually vendors of fruits, avocados in the streets, or these kind of very, very basic products. So they are not that into technology. So offering the possibility to them to have a website, I think will be a big motivator for them to come into EOS. And finally, I finally got into the, after studying GitHub and Git for several weeks, I got into the Antelope documentation and installed Docker, which is a framework for containerize your development environment. So I'm in my way of becoming a smart contract developer for the Antelope ecosystem. And that's pretty much it for this week for me. And I think the only one left is Mr. Sinjoy, so it's my pleasure to give the word to him.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jorge. It's my pleasure listening to all the great work you're doing, as well as everybody else too. Pascal seems to be having fun with the party emoji as well. Yeah, so I'll share I'll share my screen to show some of the stuff I've been working on. Really excited about all the progress. Main thing that I've been working on this week is tools, like building mostly building this article for tools. It's at edencareers.com/tools right now. It's kind of a draft article. I've been working on curating the tools that we have that people like to DOS and Vlad, and also now Jorge and Pascal and everybody are building. So I've been writing some of this to curate it, specifically quite a bit for the Alien Worlds community, because I know the Alien Worlds community is quite interested in using these tools. And yeah, so I see a huge opportunity there to help communities cooperate with consensus games and independent tools that Eden Fractal can provide. So it's still kind of messy. I'm going to organize it better, but there's a table of contents here where people can skip around to different things. I have it organized into an overview, and then talking about the consensus games we play and the Fractal apps like Fractogram that allow us to play this, and then just lots of different resources that we've been using and kind of building over time. And then the various software stacks as well. This is also going along with larger funding plans and just growth plans to help people understand how we can use these tools. And then also a little bit about how we can make videos with these as well, and how Notion and Super can help us with that. So I put together some art. I'm really into like a philosophy of tools. So we become what we behold. We build our tools, and their tools build us with a juggler. And then there's like the overview, the Fractal apps. People can look at this more, but I focus on the app that Vlad is building. He's calling it Fractal and Fractogram, because I think that these two apps are really, really powerful and helpful together. And then also the consensus games, the combination between Eden Fractal, Eden plus Fractal, and Cagendas, I think are really helpful as well. And they provide a cooperating system that can greatly empower all communities. So there's more there with details about community meetings and how it's derived from Fractally, and with links to like the Fractally white paper and stuff, and also more details about Eden plus Fractal and about Cagendas. A lot of this I'm going to refine into like a shorter kind of a landing page as well. I'm also working on another brand that I find quite exciting, and then there's also details about the app that Vlad has been building, how it works with Web3, and why that's really important, why it's important, the web app that we're currently using, the smart contracts that enable people to give respect, the account permissions that we have, and the new tools that Vlad recently built to change permissions, the next version that Vlad is building with Lenar and Matthias, more about Fractogram and about resources. Some of this stuff was written previously in previous articles, so kind of curating it all in one spot, and it still needs some work. It's going to link to Firmament as well, and then resources like the welcome guide that I've been building, about consortium, about our proposal on delegate system, our account permissions, and how you can flexibly set it with multiple different ways. I think we'll hear Vlad talk more about. about agendas and the Teams feature that James Mart was building, and social media apps like the Algorithmian Eden Talk, and in the white paper, agreements, dispute resolution, code of conduct, data dashboards, inflation. So basically all the different resources that I've been able to curate so far to just show what kind of things that our team or our community has been building along with the Fractally team and the Fractally company, and talking about how it works with Antelope, with EVM, with Firmament, and also promoting Sybase and Eden OS and Respect OS, and then also the opportunity to make videos and use Super. I know I'm at 3 minutes now, so I'll just go a minute longer or so, because I only really showed the one article, because this is what I've been mostly working on over the past week. Also some just messiness there that I'll add more. And also I have a brand I'm using tools I've been building for like the past 3 or 4 years that I'm thinking about helping promote Eden Fractal tools with. I'll share more details about that. And you might have seen I skimmed over it pretty quick, but there is one with this my friend Bongo, the player, who I think will help us promote these tools. I was writing a story about that. I also went on the EOS Fireside Chat and spoke to about 70 people about Eden Fractal yesterday for about 5 minutes. I gave a nice speech that I think was quite exciting at the end of it, and got some good response from the founder of Zysan, Rhett. And then I also edited and produced the video for Eden Fractal number 43. I've been continuing researching Notion templates that I think can be really helpful, and wrote some more show notes about in the Eden Fractal 42 and 41, specifically about Fractal Apple, and also about the Antelope workshops and the new tools that Vlad and Stas are building as well. So there's that. And then I added a bit more to 41 about the community stories. And then I also hosted Eden Town Hall number 44. And these are the topics that we discussed, a lot of topics I mentioned here about tools. And then, yeah, I also have been reading the Fractal white paper a lot lately. And I also attended the Aqua Deck as well, and been helping Douglas set that up. And then I've also been looking into Firmament. I started writing an article about Firmament and working with Alien Worlds Fractal as well, and carrying that article. But I've been going for kind of a while now, so I will wrap that up. And thank you all for listening. Hope you all enjoyed, and thanks all for all the incredible work as well. Does anybody have any questions or comments for anybody before we go into the consensus process? I see Tadas shared the Fractogram group.
I have a question for Tadas. Are the tools still look friendly for non-blockchain use?
Well, I mean, what do you mean still? They were never finished so far, so I have a sketch of a front end, but it looks kind of friendly. It could be improved, but it's not functional yet. So,
but I mean, we can just take the results, cut and paste them, whatever, right? They're still usable, the path you're going on.
Yeah, of course. It's more about.
That's what I thought. Just checking. Because as usual, I've got people that think Zoom is a big, is a big deal to learn to get on Zoom. So the fewer things I can expose them to, the better at this point.
Makes sense. I also have a question for Joe. Go ahead, Rory.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to ask Joe, you mentioned that you're working with somebody on like a Fractal project. I was wondering, I did some research. I remember last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, you shared something. I don't remember exactly what it's called. It was like Tree and Power Energy or something like that, where it's like some interesting power generation innovation. Is that what you're referring to, or something else that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the Tree of Water and Power.
Okay.
Really, really interesting dude. Kind of like the Sheldon from what's that, Big Bang Theory? He was like smartest kid in England. He has a very, very strange past, and it's kind of like a polymath. Has been quite successful in a lot of things, and he's been working on this thing for about 7 years, and we're just trying to wrap it up right now and get it in the ground. And yeah, there's a lot of information on treeofwaterandpower.com, all about it. And it's again based on fractals. Fibonacci sequence came out of it through the build and design. Yeah, it's super interesting. And I think it's just, part of this whole concept and this whole thing is about public goods and trying to promote those. And so I think it's a very positive thing. And, I believe in synchronicity and, the universe, God, whoever you want to put it, puts you in certain places at certain times to connect certain things or do what you need to do. And just the whole fractally thing, the public good thing, just seemed too obvious to ignore. So I've been trying to, talk to him about it and explain to him a little bit about Eden and fractally and that whole concept. So yeah, that's what that thing is.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much for adding more clarity there and explaining, and also sharing it with that innovator who seems like a super smart dude. And I'm looking forward to learning more about that. You said treeandwaterpower.com, is that right? You're muted.
Tree of water and power.
Yeah, I'll post it in the chat. Just give me a second here, make it easy on you guys. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Meanwhile, I have a question for Eric. So you said you went vacation to Tokyo, and
Yes.
you wanted to engage the art community.
I didn't engage the art community in Tokyo. I was mostly there to see my son, who I really haven't seen in 4 years. So he lives there.
Okay. And you had a meeting with the director of marketing, which is
Yeah. So this was an extension of the art fractal. Because the current person running marketing got overwhelmed. So I approached a woman that's very powerful just to kind of have some ideas. And we ended up doing planning for about 4 hours.
Well,
and she was amazing, awesome. And one of the things we focused on is how do we extend this idea and involve, how do we grow up beyond this small group? How do we build community design to increase this, at least put the hooks in, so as we get this going, we have the path to scale quickly. So we looked at roadblocks, things we could do to do it, and roadblocks to make sure it didn't fall apart. So
you were working on infrastructure. When you talk about marketing and infrastructure and all these like business related works, you're always talking about the Center for Governance, correct?
Well, the Center for Governance is how do you take all this stuff Dan and we're doing and get those conversations going and put training in, things like that. The art fractal is my use case to take the stuff we're doing here and use it in a real world environment so that I can bring it back to the Center for Governance. The first place the Center for Governance is focusing on is in the aliens what metaverse. Why? Because we have momentum in there. Does it stay there?
Okay, so these are two separate entities, the Center for Governance and the art fractal, correct?
Correct.
And the meetings you have for the marketing and for infrastructure were focused on the art fractal.
Right, which is the application of everything we're doing here in a real world environment. And of course, when you deal with a real world environment, there's real people and they have challenges and problems. And so they've got an organization that kind of needed kickstart because it was really just a bunch of art enthusiasts, amateurs who are really passionate about it, but they're not really good. And they've never really, I've launched nonprofit organizations and grown them globally. They haven't done anything. They've had this organization that's been around a long time. Dan's met them, but they're thinking more in terms of art and not in terms of government running an organization. So in order to make sure I had a framework to do this, and I kind of had to get them going again. Okay. So I kind of had to reset them to make sure we had a thriving organization that could accept, kind of like what you're doing with the Spanish group. You have to get the people in the culture before you start throwing a lot of fractal stuff at them. And so you have to make sure to keep the organization strong at the same time. And sometimes they need outside help doing that. And so I spent several days just helping them with that so that as we introduce the art fractal. And the other thing I do before I can go collect data, I have to get approval from the university. So I started working on my prospectus, which is the first thing I have to submit to them to get approval. So I'm working on the approval process to actually collect data in forms of what we do with appreciation points and respect.
Great, thank you. I have a question for Pascal. So you said you minted 500 NFTs on the EOS blockchain.
Yeah.
This is a question about strategy. I think promoting a social network, a new social network, is a real challenge. I mean, I find it a colossal challenge to get people out of any social network and into a new one. So I wanted to know, how do you intend to attack this problem, this challenge?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, it's very difficult. I agree with 200%. Very, very difficult. And then I've tried so many attempts in social network projects. But I came into conclusion that the more you are specifics, the more you will get users. Social networks built on Web 2 technology is different from social networks built on Web 3 technology. So my social network Tiagori, it's a Web 3 social network. It's built on a blockchain. The model, the economic model is very different from what people are used to. So if I want to test something that, now if I want to test that it will work, it has some potential, I don't need 1,000 or 2,000 users to make my test case. With 10, I can test it. So this is one of the things that I found building on Web 3, sorry. So in Web 2, it's very difficult. People will not go easily out of Facebook, Twitter. It's very, very difficult, very difficult. But they're in the Web 2 ecosystem. So I'm shifting my strategy to say, okay, I'm in Web 3. You know, it's like moving from moving from horses to cars. So I have to shift directly going into Web 3. And then the strategy in the Web 3 is to build a reward platform, just reward. Okay. If you just post something about Bitcoin, you get rewarded. So this strategy that I'm using now, my test case was to test with one platform, one blockchain, Hive. Then why Hive has this advantage that it's already economically sustainable. It's working already. So it has all the layers that I can build on top. The second strategy was to add on this fractal governance. To say, yeah, we want to make sure that we distribute reward to those who are participating. But how will we do that? So we have the fractal governance that I intend to implement on Tiagori, so that those attending fractal meetings, they are the one distributing those rewards. So I don't know if I answered, but it's mainly I separate myself from Web 2 social networks to Web 3 social networks. So if, let's say, I have just 10 users earning every week $5, $10, it's enough for me to validate the case. It's enough. But in Web 2, it's very different, very, very difficult. Because in Web 2, you have to build the volume, you have to go after advertisers, you have to, so it's, I don't know if I have answered. So it's I'm using Web 3 strategies directly.
Yeah, I had that same discussion in depth with one of my partners in crimes about how much do you need to test and scale and get credibility. And depending on what you do, it could be a lot, like you said, or not very much. Fortunate, we don't need very much to test.
No, just to test it,
To
exactly.
test this out. So that's what the conclusion we came to after like a couple hours of dissecting it.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work, you pull the plug. You can see, you don't have to spend a lot of, let's invest a lot to see if you can scale. Scale is another debate, but if you can test it in and then I also like in business, you have to satisfy your users. They are the one. So if you can satisfy, I don't know, 5-10 users every week, it's you are testing that is working. So they but it's challenging. I understand what you mean. But Web3 is an advantage for us in the blockchain space. And the technology that we have today, like EOS Hive, is powerful, so we take advantage when there are things that, let's say this EOS pumps, I could not do them on Ethereum. EOS is, in terms of the cost of deploying these NFTs, is not expensive in Antelope chains. If I have to do the same in other blockchain, it would cost me a lot of money. But the resources, so it's the subject that I'm using.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pascal. And I have a question now for Taras, Mr. Well, I have 3 questions for you, Mr. Taras. First, how do you pronounce your last name? Second, I'm a little ashamed of asking this question, but I haven't really understood the difference between firmament and albedo. And third, this question I ask with the best of intentions. Really, the thing is that I see this albedo and firmament thing requires a lot of work from your part. And I wonder if you are first creating a technology and then aiming to, after having created the technology, go and look for the potential customer and target, or if you already have a target that has validated this idea and intuition you have. The thing is that I will hate to see you investing a lot of energy to get a technology working that then goes out to look for a customer, which I think is the incorrect approach. Thank you.
Yeah, regarding the third point, I think we can discuss a lot about it. I don't know if it's worth starting. But my current thinking is to do a proof of concept in which I will be able to demonstrate in a couple of months, and then at that point I will look for a customer, as you say. First Eden Fractal, then others, maybe Alien World. So I realize this is hard to understand. This technology is hard to understand for people, so that's why I want to have a little demo first, so that it is easier to explain, to sell it for me to others, and partly to prove it to myself that it works. So a kind of proof of concept. So in the short term, I'm building a technology, and soon enough I hope to start checking with people if it makes sense for them. Regarding the second question, so albedo is just a general it's a general, how would you say, project to research project to build technologies with certain kind of design philosophy, which unites both fractal style human-centered governance with token-weighted governance. And so Firmament is like a sub-project of that. And yeah, regarding the first question, it's Vaitiekunas. Vaitiekunas. Yeah.
Vaitiekunas. Thank you. Great. I have no more questions, guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks so much for all the really thoughtful questions, Jorge. And sorry if I've been mispronouncing your name, Das. I've been close, but not quite there. But thanks for explaining that as well. I'm also, well, I'll just say I've been doing a lot of research into Firmament over the past weeks and months, and I see immense value in it. So I'm also planning to help the DOS show that and tell it too. So I think that all of us, as more of us get it and spend more time with it, I think we'll all be able to help promote the tools that DOS is building as well. Because I think we'll all be in our interest, and it's all super helpful. Also, welcome Douglas too. Thanks for joining, and great seeing you. Cool hat you got on already too. Cool setup you got there.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I won't like vote or anything, but I wanted to show up and I'll listen for the discussion. So thank you, Dan. And also thanks for coming to Aquedac yesterday. It was great to see you. Good to see you again.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. That was actually super, super inspirational, and it changed my morning very much. I had quite a musical morning and inspired morning, thinking about plans with Eaton Fractal. So I really appreciate it, Douglas. Yeah, and then yeah, unfortunately we do have 7 people, or I mean that's not unfortunate, it's a good thing, but there's only 6 people there, so that's cool that you're willing to just watch along, and of course you're very welcome, Douglas. And then I suppose we only have 15 minutes left to come to consensus, so it'd be good to hear a little update from Douglas if we had time. I also wanted to ask Pascal if he could just like provide a quick intro or a very quick answer to what you see for the future of EOS punks. I'm very interested in that. But also we only have 15 minutes left, so we should get to consensus. I suppose that Pascal, would you want to just try to answer that in like a couple sentences really quick before we get to consensus?
At this moment, I'm focusing on issuing all the 500 EOS pounds. The use cases, the utilities will come, but I don't want to bring them out first. So and then see the market. I'm listening to the market, what the market is saying in terms of what they want, and then there are some utilities that can be integrated in those pumps. But the main objective is to make the community has its own pumps also. So it's that's the main thing. The feature with there. So
awesome. Thank you very much. And that sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you a lot more and talking about this more in the future.
Thanks.
All right, is everybody ready to do consensus? If anybody has any last minute questions, we can, but with only 15 minutes left, we should probably start proceeding to consensus soon. I think, Pascal, you haven't responded with your name yet, your EOS account, and
Okay.
same with
not
Joe
yet.
as well. If you could please enter your EOS account as a reply to the message.
Okay, so see, everyone has submitted their account name. Now let's vote for level 6.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, who's J? G.
Joe.
Okay, Joe. Okay, Joe. Okay.
Jay is
Okay, sorry.
Joe.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay, looks like one person hasn't voted yet. I think it's Eric hasn't voted yet.
Oh, I voted.
Oh,
Yeah, for me now it shows that everyone has voted. Three
Yes, it
voted
shows that for me
for
too.
3 voted for Dan, 3 for Pascal. I voted for Pascal because I think it's not often that someone has this clear output to show. Like he published sort of he's published something on EOS blockchain, which is a contribution to EOS, and I think we kind of still value that. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing with us. Yeah, I appreciate people voted for me too, so thank you for that. I voted for Pascal. Well, I think if there are many reasons. I suppose the main reason was the EOS punks. I found that super inspiring. So my morning, I was thinking all about music from what Douglas hosted with Aqueduct yesterday, and then EOS punks. I was thinking of proposing topics about punks, and I was doing some research into the crypto punks on Ethereum. I found them super inspirational. So I think that's really great for the community to have punks and like a great story. So I found that really inspiring. And then the work you've been doing with Valkyrie and just in general with leadership and sharing inspiring visions is really exciting as well.
I just looked at what the need is right now, all this cool stuff, and I think what's needed most is the compilation of all that information. We've talked about it over as where is it in one place, and that's exactly what Dan's doing. So to me, that was the most valuable, is to say, what are all the pieces, where they're going. So just because of timing, I voted for Dan.
I voted for Dan, and then I changed to Pascal, and I am about to change for Dan again. I already know. It's really hard for me to say.
Well, like your questions, what's firmament? What's that? What are the blocks? What are that? It's just crazy how much information there is coming at the moment.
I think I'll stick with Pascal. The reasoning is that both Dan and Pascal have been members, long-time members, very committed to this Eden Fractal. But the effort Pascal has made is just getting to fruition after many, many weeks of being ranked in the very last positions when he was working, but was not given the respect he deserved. So I think I'll stick with Pascal for my vote.
Okay, so we have four votes for Pascal. So we can vote on level 6, on level 5.
Oh, Pascal.
Thank you guys.
Sounds good. Yeah, and thanks everybody for the great analysis too. That was a good sharing of reasoning. And then also Eric, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you appreciate the tools too. And by the way, I forgot to mention, but if anyone wants to use those descriptions for tools or help edit them or share them or anything like that, then very happy to collaborate and share that to help spread these games and processes and tools as much as possible. If you wanted to add that.
Okay, so I see 4 votes for Dan as level 5. So I think if everybody agrees, we can go to level 4.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. I saw Jorge, I think, voted for Pascal again. So it seems like maybe Jorge is, or maybe just mess up my app. Oh, okay. Or maybe it's mess up my app then. Never mind.
I see 3 people have voted for level 4. I think Eric, Dan, and yeah, now 5 people have voted.
I
Eric,
think we're still missing Eric, right?
Yeah, Eric, have you voted?
Yeah. I was the first one to vote.
Interesting. Maybe I need to refresh.
Yeah, it's not showing
At
up for me
least when I
either, so-
voted, it said 100%, so. Let me try again.
I think that'd be good. It's not showing up for me or to DOS, it seems like.
We are talking about level 4, right?
Oh,
Yeah, level 4.
Yeah, now I see it. Yeah, so 3 people for Jorge, 3 for Eric. Hmm.
Okay, would anybody like to share their reasoning? Well, I voted for Eric. I think it's just a super difficult choice at that point, because I think what Eric, Jorge, Tadas, and Joe are doing is all awesome. Even though Joe said he didn't do that much, I think that he's bringing a huge amount of value to the community over the past weeks, and I'm really excited to learn more about the tree and power. And yeah, so much stuff that Tadas is doing, Jorge. So I don't really know what to say, but Eric, I know Eric was away for a while, and it's great to see him again. And it sounds like he's been doing awesome work with both the art fractal. I've also been witnessing the art fractal up until the past couple weeks. It hadn't happened, but before that, I saw Eric was doing an incredible job leading that, like really super inspiring, and I love his vision. But I could also say the same thing for Jorge. I just haven't been at a Smash Factory yet because I haven't learned Spanish as I want to. But following Jorge's work has been awesome and super inspiring too. So I'm happy to go either way. But it looks like it looks like consensus is reached already. Okay.
Yeah, I saw someone else change to Jorge, so just for reaching consensus, I switched to because I wasn't sure, and so we can vote for level 3.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, great. We have 4 for Eric, and level 2 is left. And 5 votes for me. Thank you, everyone. And now the delegate.
Okay, I'm opening up the delegate spreadsheet, and I'm not sure who's a delegate right now.
Yeah, so I'm
I am not, because I purposely undelegated myself, made sure I wasn't while I was gone in Tokyo, since I knew I wouldn't be paying attention.
yeah, I'm the delegate, Jorge, and Dan is still a delegate. It's his last week. Yeah.
Okay, so
I will vote for Jorge as delegate if he wants to go. Because
I'm a delegate already.
okay.
Douglas, would you like to be a delegate, or can he not?
Thank you, but and
Pascal.
I'm not a delegate. Yeah, I'll be willing if there's no candidate.
So Eric, would you like to be a delegate?
I'm already one.
Sure. I'm back in the game. I was just gone for 2 weeks, so I made sure during those 2 weeks, but I'm back.
Okay.
Cool. And what were you saying, Jorge? Sorry to interrupt you.
I cannot be. I'm one already.
Okay. Well, technically, you can be a delegate twice, but I think it makes the most sense to elect somebody who's not a delegate, probably. And being that Eric is here, I would
support Eric. I will support Eric. If he's back. So.
Yeah, I think Eric makes an excellent delegate. So it looks like he has consensus, and it looks like we reached consensus and everything.
Dan, do you know if delegates have additional incentive? Any idea? Tell us. Delegates have additional incentive in the economics?
Well,
Mm.
currently no, except that I think if delegate does good work, then people should respect it and should rank him.
Okay.
And elect him in future weeks as a delegate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it could be cool that we have some incentive because one app plus they are doing something, you know. So thanks.
Yeah, I've also proposed that some meeting before that we should at least pay the hour of work for the delegates for being that extra hour.
Yeah. I support it.
Yeah, it is providing a public good to the community, being a delegate. So that's a interesting opportunity to explore. Although there's also opportunities like I remember Dan Lammer was talking about how like block producers might have to pay even. So I don't know if that's related at all, but it'd be interesting to explore. Basically, there's a lot to consider. And there could be right now. It's just the opportunity to help express your opinions and help make community decisions and so forth. But we've got a canvas basically that we can paint something and make it how we want. So we can figure out the best way to go forward with how delegates work and everything in the future.
We could do something like create a budget for the whole delegate term, and let's say 100 EOS, and then penalize from that budget to that person if he didn't make it to several of the 4 meetings he was supposed to be present, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Maybe that'd be a good idea to propose these things as a discussion topic at a future meeting, and then we can discuss it with the group and see what everybody thinks. Or if anybody wants to make a proposal or write out a document that we can review with some ideas or plans, then that would be cool. Okay, cool. I suppose I'll hit the end breakout rooms, because I think that we're at time. But yeah, thanks so much everybody for the awesome room, and such a pleasure every time. I really appreciate what all you guys are doing. It's amazing.
Thank you, gentlemen. Really inspirational people here.
Absolutely. Hey, Vlad.
Hi.
Cool setup with a peace sign on your shirt, and I see you're back in Athens, it looks like, as you're making smart contract updates and stuff, thinking about democracy, perhaps.
Incredible that was working this week. The telegram of Tadas here was crashing at the first time. Nothing was filling in the form, only the room. But then Vlad has made a fantastic job and he has sent us the link. Yeah, that was working. Also, when it is not working, it is working. Incredible. The app of Tadas is a fantastic app. Yeah, baby. Hello, everyone. That was a fun room, I have to say. Yeah, that was fine. We have red here. The first breakout room. Red.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, yeah, thanks, Patrick, for sharing the fun. Hope everybody had a great time. It sounds like you did in that room. And thanks, Vlad, for figuring it out too. And yeah, welcome, Brad. I know you were, I think, listening, and you joined on camera for like a minute at the end of the last one. And so you joined the chats, and you're working on some really cool stuff that I learned about. And I saw you shared something in the chat too with what you're working on. So yeah, welcome, and hope that you've been enjoying it so far. Would you like to perhaps introduce yourself or say a few words? We can get into the topic soon, but what's that? Okay, I'm guessing Red has some audio issues or typing. Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Well, while Red is typing, and yeah, we're happy to hear from you whenever. If you'd also like to speak and introduce yourself, Red, and just say hello to the community at any point, that would be cool. We're looking forward to your messages, Order or Idro. Lots of background noise. Mike freaks out a bit. Okay, cool. Well, perhaps another time then, and look forward to it when you have a better audio situation. But yeah, thanks for joining, and hope you enjoyed it. And thanks, Patrick, for also the warm welcome too. And yeah, so Vlad made the proposal on the agenda today that we'll discuss first, and I'll just share my screen and reintroduce that in a moment. While I get that up, I'll have it up in like a minute or so. If anyone wants to share any other thoughts about how the room went or anything else on their mind, then feel free. It would be cool to hear from you all.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, sounds good. So on the agenda today, we have Vlad's proposal for an Eden.fractal smart contract update, and you can see Vlad shared in the Eden Fractal Telegram group, t.me/EdenFractal, this proposal, and or it's not a proposal, a topic that he'd like to discuss. So you can see it there. I showed this before, but just reviewing it for everybody. If you want to go check out the GitHub repository and the commits that Vlad's making, he shared them with us. And he also shared a couple different proposals on the Block Explorer as well. And then also, as I said before, I don't know if Patrick's enjoying it, but I think this might have something to do with the automatically updating MSIG permissions based on weekly rankings. And I put this together in edenfractal.com/42, where he's got the interview with Patrick and so forth. So just to kind of set it up a little bit. And then if we have more time, then there's a couple other topics on the agenda. But I suppose with that, if you would like to take it from here, Vlad, and introduce the proposals that you made and the kind of software updates that you are planning or thinking about making.
Yeah. So yeah, the Eden.fractal is the account that we are using. And I would say there are two changes. So one change is addition of the elect delegate action. So far this action has been on the test contract. And each week we have actually been interacting with two different contracts. But now I added this action to the Eden or into one contract. So that's one thing. And second part is, which is actually the juicy part, it's the automatic update of the multisig. So automatic update of the permission of Eden.fractal account. So how this permission could be changed is based on the respect holdings of the members. So since each week we are distributed respect token, the proposed contract, it calculates the average respect holding for each member. And it does it across 12 weeks. And each week there is one action which I am triggering every week. It's called start election. I'm doing that at the beginning of each breakout room. And this action would change the permission based on the top average respect holders. So right now, the idea is just to change the active permission. So we test out this feature. The owner permission stays the same. So if something is wrong with the code, we still have the owner permission that is fixed. So yeah, the active permission would be changing every week based on the top average respect holders. And it would be 6 people. So top 6 average respect holders would be in the permission. Now the threshold for the active permission would be 4 out of 6. So 4 accounts would have to sign. to do anything. And yeah, that's in a nutshell what it is.
And that's very genius. Thank you.
That's everything is based on it's from Fractally. The latest addendum from them, they exactly described this idea. So yeah.
Love that.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you very much for Vlad for all the great engineering work and introducing it to us. I see lots of people had hands up and inserted some thumbs up and stuff like that, so that's cool. Tadas, you want to go first?
Yes, so I remember, I think we did set the custom permission, or did that did not get executed?
No,
Yeah, so
it's
there's
there.
no, yeah, so does it stay there, and does it stay static, and do those people can still distribute the funds?
The custom permission would stay right now as it is. It would be possible to make it dynamic as well, but yeah, right now it would stay.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to keep it that way, because we don't know if people who have the most respectively are going to sign the M6 to distribute the funds. Yeah, and but I think I will formulate another question, but maybe later. I have to think of it.
Yeah, well, ideally, as we discussed with you last time, ideally, if you could compile the code yourself and then hash it and then compare the hash, this would be like the ideal process to make sure. So the reason why it would be good for someone to hash the I think it's both. It's Wassman. Okay, we're getting into too details, but fundamentally there is a problem. How do you know that the code that I am proposing is actually the code that is in GitHub? So there is a way how to actually check that, and I think if we want to do it properly, then we should do that process. Yeah, just a side note.
Thanks. Well, the important part is that it's possible to check, and I find it hard to believe that you would try to lie to everyone and would not check it yourself. But yeah, just for the sake of any mistakes, it's for checking. So I will maybe try to find the time to do it.
Cool. Sounds great.
I
Thanks
can
for...
tell you that in Vlad we can trust. I make some check, so that's okay.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah, and in Vlad we can trust, and also that's cool that Vlad brought up that way to make it potentially more secure. If Tadas can check it out too. I know for a while you're working with James Mart as well and doing some sort of unit testing. So I'm curious to learn more about like various tests just to make sure that there's no software bugs and stuff like that. And I suppose, yeah, Vlad, feel free to jump in at any point if you have anything to add, but I can pass on to Douglas now.
Thank you. Yeah, Vlad, awesome stuff. I think that the upgrades sound very logical and much needed. I had some thoughts kind of related to Tadas's questions. Number one is like, with the active permission, do you think that that's maybe too high of a level of permission to give? I'm not super familiar if there's like assets on the contract or anything else that would be protected. And then related to that, do you think that if you are using the threshold weighting system, would it make more sense to give the people with the highest distribution more weight? Like, for example, you could have the top 6, but give the first number 6, 6, number 5, 5, number 4, 3, 2, their weight, and then you could have a threshold that would allow like perhaps either the lowest 4 or the top 2, which, or you would just have, I guess, more dexterity there, no matter how you wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like,
And
yeah.
also, I guess, to finalize, like, could you, like, is there only a few actions that need to be called on the contract that you could just set that as like a new sub permission underneath the active key?
Well, we already have one custom permission. It's to distribute the funds. But in regards to your first point, whether the active permission is too much, I don't think, because Eden Fractal doesn't have much at stake, so to say. We have like less than 2,000 EOS in the contract, and I would say just the most valuable thing is the distribution of the respect token. But then again, it's also, if something gets completely corrupted, then it wouldn't be a big problem to migrate to a new contract. Yeah. But still, since the owner permission stays fixed, I don't see risk at all.
Okay. Yeah, like I hear what you're saying, and I don't think that anything would go wrong here, but just kind of as like a best practice. But if you do have a custom permission linking to that distribution of the token itself, it should sort of exclude that from being used from the active permission. I think that's how the linking of permission works, unless it's just you can't assign another custom permission. But yeah, and then other than that, is there any like table changes that would require reflections in this contract upgrade?
There are few new tables, yeah, but the old tables, they stay the same.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Cool.
All right. Thanks for the thoughtful questions, Douglas. That was awesome. I'll also say too, well, I see Jorge has his hands up, so I'm very interested to hear from Jorge. But first, I'll just say that the custom permissions, we can make additional custom permissions. So there's a lot of good things to explore that you suggested, Douglas. I saw also Patrick and Jorge and Rosemary were laughing about something too, and Jorge was saying, or Patrick said it's forbidden to eat fractals. So I don't know what people were talking about, but I figured I'd mention it because everybody was laughing while we are doing this. And then also Pascal had written, love the idea of automating an MSIG change and great idea. And he said trust but verify, which is a great things to consider as well. I'll pass it on to Jorge now.
Oh, I don't have anything to say. I just want to sing a little bit. So this goes for you, Mr. Vlad. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Bravo, 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 bravissimo, bravo, 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 bravissimo, bravissimo.
Imo Vlad, bravissimo Vlad. Colombia is proud
Beautiful.
of you. Is proud of you. Desvania, Desvania, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very happy. Great contribution,
baby.
Vlad. Great initiative.
Approve this
Approve
MSIG
it.
now,
Oh.
just now.
No, so
Approve it. Or I will chase you.
I will. So Patrick, please don't chase anybody on the MSIG. I don't think that's the best thing to do. Wonderful song, Jorge. Thanks for sharing, and great hearing your voice. And I agree. Although I would also say don't approve the MSIG right now because we're still learning about it. So I have a lot of questions. So anybody on the MSIG, I would encourage them to wait until we answer more questions as well. But yeah, I think it's also a huge innovation and a hugely helpful tool. So thank you, Vlad, and thank you once again, Jorge, for the awesome song and the dancing. One thing I wanted to ask you, Vlad, is exactly what the different proposals do. So I know you mentioned that one is to upgrade the smart contracts and to merge the thing that's on the, I think, EdenFrac test account, if I'm correct, where that's where we're doing the delegates, and one where we're doing the actual, like, everything else, such as the Eden.fractal. I agree. It's good to merge those for sure. It makes it more simple. I do think that's a really like valuable or I guess valuable account name. So I do think it's really important to be cautious and do it safely and make sure we don't mess up there or just mess up in general. But then the other proposal says new owner. So I'm wondering, and this sets the permission owner to have the authentication.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of curious. So you're proposing to update the owner permissions right now, or the active permissions, or both? Or could you clarify that?
Yeah. So the only change that, so yeah, the MSIG is to change the owner permission. And the only change compared to the current owner permission is that it has this EOSIO code. So it has Eden.fractal at EOSIO code, and the weight is 5. And this is needed because the active permission will no longer have this EOSIO code. So active permission will only have those 6 different accounts. So yeah.
Okay. So interesting. So I'm still trying to understand what you mean there. Sorry, I'm also loading up the article that I wrote about MSIG and like our current MSIG configuration, so maybe we can see it as you explain it. But would you mind maybe just repeating what you said there or further elaborating?
Yeah. No, first, let's step back. Why do we need this EOSIO code? This account, so to say, enables the contract to execute an action by itself. So action could be executed by the contract. And right now, we have this account in the active permission. So the contract uses the active permission to execute some of the actions. Yeah. But since now the active permission will change and it will not include this EOSIO code no longer, then the contract will use the owner permission instead. He will use the EOSIO code at the owner permission. Yeah.
Okay.
News.
I'm pretty confused. Tadas?
Yeah, I have a related question maybe to clarify. Why can't active permissions still have both 6 members and also EOSIO code permission?
That's a good question. Good question. That's how I wanted to make it. But there is a problem. Well, actually, it's still possible. Yeah, it's possible. But fundamentally, the problem is that the order of accounts in the multisig has to be in alphabetical order. And there was a problem. Actually, yeah, there is still a technical problem. I can show you in the code if you're interested, but that's the reason why I didn't include it, because it's practically impossible to rank it correctly with the other accounts. Yeah, I think it's still possible, but it would require like a more development.
Yeah, and probably some CPU to, as I understand, you would have to determine the order, which includes the EOSIO code permission every time you would change, and that would probably take requires some more CPU resource.
A bit, yeah.
And do you still have to
I
ring
can.
before setting
Yeah,
the
yeah,
permission every time?
every time. And yeah, fortunately, I found a way how to do it pretty elegantly. Like, when you save an EOS account to a table, then it actually the table reorders the accounts automatically. So there is, like, inside this action, there is just a table where I save all the EOS accounts just to reorder them, because they are ordered by so they are unsigned integer 64, and based on that they are ordered, and it turns out that it's alphabetical order. Anyway, yeah.
Amen. Oh,
Cool. Thank you, Vlad, Das, for the further exploration.
Very-
Pascal?
very clear, very clear.
Yeah, so as I wanted to say, since we are talking about automation, the ideal automation in this case, in my mind, will be to, at some point in the process, to delegate this process to the EOS prod, to the blockchain, to the blockchain producer, so that we don't have the owner of this key in the ownership level, and then in the longer process. I think this is if I see in the long view, I would say, okay, yeah, this is very good. This is perfect. If this is where Vlad is seeing in the long process. But before we reach there, we can make sure we control the owners to make sure that these changes will make it like case by case, step by step. But as a community, we need to agree that in the long run, we want this in the ownership of this contract to give it to the EOS prod account, which is the ideal automatization. So it's I don't know if it's what Vlad is saying.
So you mean to the block producers?
It means we cannot change this contract that the multi-check that automated the changes, we cannot change it by ourselves. Is it how you see it, or not? Or
I understand what you mean. So whether it should be impossible to change the contract at all.
Yeah, when we reach some maturity, it's something like the ideal DAO, but I'm just, if this is the way you.
I mean, it's yeah, it has a good side to it that, yeah, users, community members can ensure that it's their funds are safe, so to say. But the drawback is that, yeah, you cannot make any changes. But I think what this process enables, and similar processes to this one, is that it's still very decentralized. You still have individuals who you completely trust, and at the same time the system is resilient in a sense that even if something happens to those 6 individuals, like let's take the worst case scenario, they are murdered. Even then, the system just next week, or let's say not next week, in 6 weeks, new accounts are added into the multisig, even though the individuals who got murdered, they didn't interact with the contract at all. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Let's see. Okay. So the worst case scenario, we are protected. The worst case would be like we have 6 people who just disappear, who will still be able to
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm fine with that. Thanks.
Genius. That's genius. Hebbe. That's genius. Huh.
Thank you,
Unbelievable.
Pascal, the thoughts, and Patrick and Vlad. I do think there are some like deeper considerations there, but yeah, I'll save my thoughts for a bit and pass on to Tadas.
Yeah, so a comment about what Pascal said. I think block producers in EOS can change any contract anyway. They don't use that power, but theoretically, I think they can. Or if I'm mistaken, that someone may correct me. But
You're correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
they can intervene. Yeah.
yeah, so it's a matter of us becoming so sure of our of this mechanism that we give up owner permission and only have this mechanism plus block producers if they feel we need. And what else? Yeah, one other question for Vlad. Can active permission change the code of a contract?
Yes.
Okay. And one other technical note, are you sure that this code which stores accounts in a table, which orders accounts in alphabetical order, can we be sure that it won't change? Well, I think it's a high probability that it won't change, but I mean, I don't know, maybe some library got updated or something. I mean, we have to be sure that it's deterministic, like in the future. Although, I guess you probably would need to upload a new contract for it to change. Anyway, that's just a thought. Don't know.
Yeah, but that's yeah, good point.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to this again and learn. I saw for a while that Space Rainbow Joe said he's glad to hear that I'm confused too. So I imagine many people who might be watching might be fairly confused, and also provide maybe a little introduction to the Eden fractal MSIG, so people can understand it better. Because I want to also caution against rushing into it too fast. I see people calling it genius, which I agree with. It is a genius and a brilliant development, and I very much support the work that Vlad is doing. But at this moment, I would certainly not vote to approve it because I have so many questions, and so I would certainly advise caution for people to not rush into something, especially when it changes the owner permission. So my understanding was that this would change the active permission and not the owner permission, or perhaps a different permission, then we can kind of ease into it. Because, well, I mean, just change the owner permission. There's a lot more at stake when you have the owner permission, because that could change the account if there is any issues. So yeah, I saw Douglas asked a question too. Douglas asked, I don't know if you want to ask it here, Douglas, if you want to just speak up and say it.
Yeah, it was just like a technical thing about if you need to execute a transfer action, like for example, to transfer EOS, then you would need the EOS IO code permission. So I guess I was confused too, because I thought we were only talking about the active permission. And then I thought you said that the EOSIO.code permission would be the owner permission, which would mean that we wouldn't be able to execute outside transfers of a token that doesn't exist on a contract itself.
Yeah, I was typing response, but so in the inline action, you have to specify which permission are you using. So yeah, I run into those errors that initially the inline actions used the active permission, but if you change them, or if you specify that it should use owner permission, then it works. Yeah.
So just to clarify for everybody, I guess, are we talking about setting those 6 delegates or the 6 highest ranked, whatever, they're going to be in control of the active account or of the owner account?
Initially active. And
Okay,
if we
initially
feel, yeah, if we feel comfortable, if we see that everything is working, we can switch or use the same system for owner as well.
Okay, thank you. Cool.
And that's the point.
Yeah, thanks, Douglas and Vlad. So I'll share a little bit of a screen just to show more a broad overview. For anybody who's confused what we're talking with MSIG, perhaps I should have led with this, but I think it can be helpful just to share it and provide some context of what we're doing. And it just made me think too, like I'm going to definitely listen to this again because a lot of it I've been trying to understand as we've been going, and encourage people to do so as well and think about it if they're interested, and especially people who are on the MSIG to understand what we're talking about here. And perhaps it might even be good to do a brainstorming session at some point in the future to like have more detailed discussions about this maybe. But yeah, I'll just share briefly our progress on the MSIG so far. So I put together this article at edencareers.com/MSIG that I've been updating for the past few months. It documents details and discussions and proposals about the MSIG configuration that we have on the Eden.fractal account. Quite a long article. I wrote a lot of this around week 35 or so when we were updating the MSIG and making our current configuration. So it had a little welcome, and there's a huge amount of like considerations here. We thought about this very deeply, and I wrote I spent many dozens of hours thinking about the best ways to design MSIG both for our community and trying to lead the way for future communities too, and sharing some design considerations. So I really advocate for just thinking about the small angles before reaching in. It's an incredible technical development, but what we're building here is really important for both our community, everybody here in the world. So we want to be really careful to make sure that we do it in a great way that's helpful for everybody. And so, yeah, this article has a bit of introduction to MSIG. Basically, it's the shared account that we can share who has access to the account and who can do actions on the account. Basically, it's a community computer, EOS, and there's our own little computer that we have. So who gets to control that is kind of the question that we're solving for here. There's also a description about what we're talking about with active and owner permissions here and what that can do. Basically, owner permission can change anything on the account. Active can change anything but owner, and there's a great video here that explains more. And then the current MSIG information and configuration we have. At first, well, I think actually owner key still hasn't changed. We approved to change it, but we never changed it yet. But that has 6 people who were in the first meeting, the top 6 rankings, and then the active permission and the Morpheus permission, which is the submit ranks permission. This is what we set back in week 35. We approved a proposal to do so, and there's currently 11 people who are, or 12 people who are manually on the MSIG right now. So a lot more that you can learn about here more, but that's kind of the current configuration right now. There's 12 people on the owner permission. These are the accounts, and there's 6 people, or there's 11 people on the active permission, and there's different weights. So there needs to be 7 out of 12 for the owner permission, 6 out of 11 for the active permission, and then the submit ranks permission just as the weekly submit, the weekly action to submit consensus results and distribute respect. You can also check out edenfractal.com/35, where you can see the video where we made these MSIG updates and we approved it. Also, there was 3 videos earlier where we discussed this earlier, but you can see kind of there if you want to check it out more in detail. And then, yeah, this is the Eden.fractal account that we're talking about, where you can see it all on chain. Lastly, I'll also add too, I've been speaking with people in the Alien Worlds community who are interested in using the software that Vlad's been building in general. So I wrote a little article, or I've been writing this edenfractal.com or edencreators.com/tools article to show all the different tools that we're building, and curate the world and the tools that Vlad's building and so forth. And so in this article, I both explained what we did for Edenfractal MSIG, choosing the 11 people on the MSIG and so forth. And then I provided an overview of 2 different ways to set automate MSIGs. So first I did a little writing about what Vlad did here, just a very brief summary of the MSIG permission automatically updating system that Vlad created. And then, of course, people can watch more about that. Patrick did an excellent interview with Vlad for about 40 minutes talking about this. And then Vlad also shared it in a breakout room a couple weeks ago. And so both of those, you can watch Vlad introduce it there for a high-level overview. But then the other thing, too, that I think might be better in some situations, I think it's probably better for some situations, is each week we elect delegates. And delegates could also be the signatories too. So basically the 2 different ways to automate MSIG that I see are, one, by top ranking contributors. And this is what Vlad built. Basically the people who get the most respect over the past 12 weeks become the signatories on the MSIG. The other way to do it automatically is where the delegates would become the signatories on the MSIG. That's currently how it works for Eden on EOS, the Eden elections. when people get elected there's an automated smart contract that the Clarion or the faculty team built that automatically changes the MSIG permissions. And that software is currently built as well and being maintained by the Adania team. It hasn't been thoroughly stress tested, but it works. There's actually a contract on the Genesis Eden account. I have it linked right here, where you can see the chief delegates who are elected. There's a board major and a board minor permission that automatically get updated with each election. So that's also an option too, where we could potentially integrate something like that into Eden Fractal software, and for automated update permissions. That I think Vlad's more further along here, because this works for quarterly elections, not for weekly elections. But that could be a great way to go well with the Eden plus Fractal consensus game that we play. And one of the great things about Eden plus Fractal that the DOS created is that it decouples the electing delegates from ranking highest in levels. So there could be situations in which you want to elect somebody who's going to be a good signatory and who's going to do a good job of processing transactions and making sure the account is safe and responsibly held and so forth. But maybe they're not the person who's contributing most as well. So that's one of the benefits of the Eden plus Fractal system, that it decouples, where you have the choice to elect a delegate in addition to allocating respect. And that software is also under development and might not be very difficult to build too. I mean, a lot of it's built already. We just need to test it and figure out a way to make it work on a weekly basis. I do think that both are really helpful for different communities, probably in the long term, and both should be developed. But I just wanted to bring that up as a consideration, that we don't necessarily need to automate MSIG permissions based on who has the highest rank. We could also do it based upon who's a delegate. And I really appreciate Vlad building this, and perhaps we could use some combination, but just wanted to put that out there as kind of a summary to where we're at with the MSIG and why this is important. Well, it's really important to have the MSIG well held, because that's where we do all of our actions as a community and so forth, and then provide some details about different options and so forth. So I see Patrick and Tadas have their hands up. So first I'll pass it on to Patrick.
Yeah, I just want to remind the people how this MSIG things was born. That was born at the beginning of this year, stating to Dan that we should have a better more people into the MSIG, because that was always Dan, me, and Vlad approving the execution, approving and execute this MSIG week after week. And I was stating, okay, we need more people, and we have made a brainstorming session. Now we made a pause, but I will have soon a brainstorming session. Dan, don't worry, I will have again the brainstorming session coming, and more better than never. We were stating into brainstorming session, okay, we should maybe approve or not to have more people into the MSIG. And that was an immediate proposal. And we stated, yes, we need to have more people into the MSIG. And that was accepted at the super majority. Then we decided who has to be added into the MSIG. We have made that. Now the weeks are going on, and every week we have Dan Sinjoy approving, myself approving, Vlad approving, and CAC, that is not always joining the Eden Fractal, that's the beauty, is doing sure that others are also approving. So now Vlad is coming with a genius ID. That's this rotation of assigning the account to the permission. That's very well made. And that's, by the way, a pretext to define better the role of a delegate. Like you said, Dan, a delegate, when he's elected into the breakout room just after, and we have a brainstorming session on that also, and we have stopped after that, because we were trying to defining the role of a delegate. What is the role of a delegate, by the way, when he's elected into a breakout room? It's to be on the next week, and for 4 weeks. Yeah, that's the, I would say the little things to know. But the big thing to know about a delegate, that's this delegate, his role could be exactly to be involved into the MSIG. So what Vlad is doing now is just to let's move on that and do the things how it should be. And now we can discuss if that could be every 11 weeks and do an average and pick the 6 better one, or when someone is elected into a breakout room and he wants to be very committed to be a delegate, and we can trust on him, he's added into the MSIG. That's what should be the role of this MSIG. And also, if we want to continue to donate to this MSIG, by the way, there is only Dancing Joy, myself, that have donated for this MSIG. We want also to encourage other people to give their EOS to this MSIG, because we have to fund us between us. That's the point. But I lower my hand and I give to Tadas. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, so yeah, so thanks, Dan, as well, for mentioning what you mentioned about these two ways for assigning roles and powers. And but one reason why I think what Vlad suggested is good, and one reason why you might not want to give control of the MSIG to delegates is that this is an opportunity to separate powers. So delegates currently pass proposals, that's like passing the laws, and MSIG controllers basically execute basically those proposals on chain. Basically, the MSIG controllers represent are basically executors of a will of a fractal on chain. So it's kind of similar to what democratic governments, I think, have. So it might be a good idea. Although I'm not totally convinced it's perfect, and this is how all fractals should do it, because this is we have to recognize that this is a significant change to the power structure of a fractal, because previously the contract was controlled. I mean, it's a significant change to Eden fractal specifically, not to the way fractals were defined in fractal white paper. But previously in Eden fractal, MSIG was controlled by trusted community members. Now it will be controlled by top contributors. And notice that top contributors will have one set of incentives. Community members might have other. And for example, top contributors might be incentivized to change smart contract in a way that benefits them, so that they can keep earning more. So you have this kind of stuff. Although I'm not convinced it will cause any problems, but yeah, just stressing that it's a significant change. Although, yeah, I don't think it will cause problems in the short term, at least.
Yeah, thanks, Tadas. And I agree. I think it's good to think about, and the stakes are relatively low, as Vlad said before. Like, there's not a huge amount of EOS in the account, although I do think that it is just really a great one account name, and it's also great for people to also just make sure that we don't have like drama and like mistakes that are getting in the way of our progress or distracting us. So I think for those reasons, it's good to make sure that we're doing everything well and being careful about how we're doing it. And then, yeah, long-term considerations. I mean, long-term, it's really important, and it can be increasingly more important. Like, who has access to the keys for the account can basically control the account. Of course, they can do everything on the account, and people can fork to different accounts if they need. But, well, basically the account allows us to do everything on the EOS blockchain that we do, everything that we use a computer for, like keeping track of respect scores and who has what respect, and any sort of changes that we make to the system or how it works, that's all controlled by that. So it's something that is certainly worthy of a lot of consideration, and thinking about like potential attack vectors and so forth. Like, maybe, I don't know, in a year down the line or 6 months down the line, like what if a bunch of people join the community really quickly and they don't have the best interest of the community, but like they rank each other to be a high level or something like that. It's just things that are good to think about while we're in this early stage when there's not too much pressure at stake. But then in the future, as we grow, then I think they'll become probably more at stake and more challenges that we need to consider and protect from to make sure that we can all thrive as a community and not get surprised by threats and so forth. Patrick, want to share some thoughts here?
I have an honest intellectual suggestion and 3 points. First point, into an MSIG, then we can do a threshold of 2, and only the 2 have to approve the change into the smart contract. That's the first point. The both have to be approving to make the change into the smart contract. That's the first thing. Then the second point is we want to always have better incentivizing mechanism into this hidden fractal in order that the people are collaborating better or cooperating better. So by making the people, the 6 average people, or maybe make that a delegate after a breakout room when he's elected is going into the MSIG because he was a good contributor, a top contributor. That's make a good rotation of this MSIG, and that will incentivize also the other members into this hidden fractal to follow, because if the top contributors are going into the MSIG, then the other member of the hidden fractal will want also to join the troop. So that's an incentivizing loop, and that's very well for our future of hidden fractal, and not only for hidden fractal, for other community. So I will follow very closely what he's doing, Vlad, by understanding exactly what he do, and to coming back with this proposal in a couple of weeks when maybe we will be ready more, the people here, and seeing that it's a very good point, because seems to be that we are seeing some weeks later on connecting the dots, looking backward, that was a fantastic idea, but when it is proposed like now, seems to be that all is perfect here. So I just want to be very clear by being here since the beginning and stating what I think. Thank you. And thank you, Vlad. And thank you, Tadas.
Thank you, Patrick. And yeah, one thing I'll also remind too that I think I forgot to mention, and I think everybody else forgot about too, is we've been using the Zoom chat a lot, and people have been sharing a lot of great comments there. Encourage everybody to use the Telegram chat, and also make a reminder to remind everybody in future weeks. I just started to share a couple of things I was showing before about the MSIG article that I created, and then also curating some of the different meetings. We discussed this in detail, MSIGs for like 3 Eden Fractal meetings, I think, and then also in a couple of brainstorming sessions. So I'll work on sharing some links there so people can do some research after today's meeting if they want. I see there's been some good comments too. Pascal said, good having MSIG change based on fractal consensus. I agree. And that can be a great way to decentralize it, and also just a huge innovation for the world. I think that Red said that before as well, and I see Red's been sharing some comments. But yeah, this has huge potential benefits for both our community and all communities. This level of increased decentralization and choosing of signatories with more democratic methods and so forth. Pascal wrote, very good for delegate. It brings confidence to our system. And Patrick, that's good incentive. And Pascal said when he votes for delegate, he expects him to have some power in the system. Yeah, there's also some comments that we discussed about in our breakout rooms about potential benefits and incentives for delegates as well that could be helpful to consider. And something just fell randomly behind me. I don't know if you heard that. I saw Red raise your hand. Was I correct about that? Did you want to say anything? Is your audio situation better now, Red?
Yeah, it's better now. No, I just wanted to say the sort of looking at the longer term, the real world implications for that, because more and more of sort of general society is adopting Web3 technologies or just like sort of blockchain technologies, like the real world implications for that in like a law firm or even like any kind of like firm where there's a hierarchy of sorts, like that would like revolutionize the space entirely. Sorry, that is my 2 cents.
Great point.
Well
Yeah,
said, Red. I'm totally agreeing.
Yeah, those are some great
Say the
sense to
truth.
share for
Exactly.
especially first time join, bring in the
Not
truth.
all
And,
is perfect. Not all is perfect.
Yep. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that, Red.
There is room for improvement. There is room.
I do have a perfect tool.
We need more people like this.
What was it you're saying, Jorge? You said perfect tool?
Colombia is perfect.
I was kidding.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really important, you know, the Web3 ethos of
Colombia
decentralization.
is perfect.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so there's been a couple questions too. Pascal asked, where do we vote? And then also in the Telegram chat, also I see Jorge also wrote, when is the actual voting for today's proposal? So there's something that I'd like to ask Vlad about, because Vlad just proposed a topic on consortium. He didn't make a proposal to delegates. He made a proposal to the MSIG signatories. So I suppose that's open for current signatories to sign or not sign currently on the blockchain. But Vlad didn't ask the delegates. Vlad just proposed a topic. So I'd be curious, Vlad, if you want to clarify your thinking there or explain your thinking about the on-chain proposal and not the proposal delegates. And then also, I'm curious, Vlad, too, about what would you think would be like the best like steps to proceed? Like, if it was all your decision, if you were the benevolent dictator who could just make decisions on your own for Eden Fractal, then would you say like it's best to just approve this? Would you say it's best to talk about it and consider this or that? Would you say, I don't know, just or perhaps we should do X first and Tadash should check it out first and then we do it or something? I'm just curious, one, what you think about the proposal and then the best steps next to proceed and what you think would be the ideal outcome, Vlad.
In regards to the first question, the delegates, I had a lot of bad experiences with delegates. They've created some proposals that didn't pass, and yeah, I decided this time not to take the long road and just to go immediately on chain. I think the delegates do have a role, as Tadas. I liked what Tadas said today, that they are sort of creating the laws. I think also the delegates could be the ones who participate in the dispute resolution. So delegates definitely have a role. But yeah, if a system permits to do something, then it will be done. So what do I mean by that? If the signatories have the ability to change the contract, then yeah, they should do it. In regards to what is the best, what would I do? Definitely it can have some attack vectors, but this is why we are here. We are here to experiment, and since there is not that much at stake, I think even if some attack vector happens, that's exactly what we want. We want to see what's wrong and fix it and move on. And best way
like
to find out what is wrong.
The same.
Yeah. And the best way, like I like to test the code in production. Yeah. Because just I think that's if there is not too much at stake, then it's good to test in production. So yeah, I would approve it.
Thanks for the answer.
I want just to add to that. I have my hand raised, by the way.
Yeah, but I'll call on you to be raised, please. That's what we have in the moderator guidelines, where the moderator can call on you, because that's something I wanted to say. In last week's meeting, there was we noticed that Tadash shared a message at the end of the Agenda's game second hour, where there's only like I think 3 or 4 people who submitted consensus results in the web app, and that's only open until 4 minutes from now, which is like 18 UTC. So I just wanted to encourage and ask everybody to make sure that you remember to submit your consensus results on the web app. It should be quite easy with the Fractogram link that Tadas and Vlad set up in the 2 rooms. But yeah, just please do that, because technically in the Fractally like consensus game, the way it's supposed to work is that if 4 to 6 people don't submit results, then they wouldn't get the respect. And if anybody didn't, then they wouldn't get the respect either. So that just makes sure we have consensus. And in recent weeks, we've just been kind of being more lax about it, and we don't have to be too strict about it. But if we don't have enough consensus results, then it can be difficult to remember the score and know who got what. So please, everybody, remember to submit your consensus results using the Fractalgram and the Fractal app each week. And then also, if you haven't done so this week, then if you could do in the next few minutes, then that would be appreciated. And yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Patrick, but I wanted to share that because we're close to time, and that's something that I forgot to mention. That's also something, by the way, I've been mentioning with like Notion workflows. I've been working on making like moderator guidelines and like things to remind myself to remember to say things. Sometimes I say things later when I want to say them earlier. So I'm planning to like share Notion templates that I can use and other moderators can use to remember to say all these things in the future, like to remember to encourage Telegram chat and be helpful for all sorts of things. But I just figured that's just something I'll throw out there as another benefit of Notion. So in the future, we'll be much more organized with that. But in the meantime, everybody can remember that, we'd appreciate that. I saw Pascal wrote very good experimentation with low risk, and Patrick wrote a bit, quite a bit there. Patrick, do you still want to share your thoughts here? Okay, I guess not. Vlad, one thing I wanted to ask you, I know I asked you before, and I'll listen to it again, but I'm still not clear. So and this changes the owner permission, or this uses the owner permission and changes just the active permission?
So one of the MSIGs changes the owner permission.
Okay.
But the system itself changes the weekly system based on respect. It changes only the active permission.
Okay, so the owner permission, there's currently 6 people on there. After this was signed, if we were to sign this, then would there still be the same 6 people, or would there be or that be determined by who gets ranked level 6 and 5 and so forth each week?
No. So the multi-sig proposes to keep the individuals that are right now, but only adds this one account, which is the Eden fractal itself. So if you open this multi-sig, you will see all the accounts, and you will see that the only new account is the Eden.fractal.
Okay. Patrick wrote exact. Okay, cool. I'm still in a state of confusion, by the way. So I will.
Are we just talking about setting up a new account and testing it, see if it works? It's not doing anything, right? It's just doing the consensus and assigning this. It's not activating any smart contract to actually make any changes. We're just seeing if it works and looking for flaws. Is that correct? Are we talking about actually having it pull the trigger and execute the changes?
Yeah, it pulls the trigger every week.
Okay. So you're actually making changes rather than running it and testing the results.
Yeah, I tested it already. You can look at the Eden Frac test account.
Okay.
Yeah, I can share a link.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Vlad. And so would it make sense to like, the thought just occurred to me as Eric was saying that, would it make sense to like just use it on a test account for some time, like just try it out and see how well it works, and just get started with that immediately, and then consider implementing it on the Eden.fractal account later, but having it with lower stakes on just a test account first, that we like, I suppose, submit consensus to, and just like do that each week for some amount of weeks while we just are kind of all testing it together. Would something like that make sense?
I think a bit a waste of time.
Okay. Patrick, something you want to say?
That's exactly what I want. I can say something now. Okay. So So that was exactly what I want to say before that you say that we have an hidden fractal test smart contract account, and that we can do all there for a couple of weeks if you don't want to be sure. Yeah, that's normal. We want all to be sure, so we can do some weeks with that, with the hidden fractal test. And when we will see with our eyes, seeing is believing, that all is okay, we will be all inclined to put that into implementation, because sociocracy, the fourth phase of sociocracy is implement. So before to implement, sandboxing, and testing. So that's like Hidden Onios is working. That's like Hidden Fractal is working too. We are a sandboxing engine, sandboxing machine. We are creating new process, new tools, and we test, like Notion. We test, like mind mapping. We test. And what's wrong with that? We have the right to make failure or to make a mistake, and then we can pivot and we can correct. Otherwise, never a startup will be started. By the way, it's the goal of a new system to be tested, to be checked, and then you can say, I trust Vlad. In Vlad, we trust because we have check. So now let's move on. Otherwise, we will have always this MSIG with the same people in it doing nothing, approving nothing. That's not good. It's better to have an MSIG made of people and incentivized to collaborate better, to engage better, to be committed, and then the order into this hidden fractal will follow. That's what I want to say before to go. And see you next week. I have to go search for my wife. So good hidden fractal. Good end. Bye.
Thanks so much, Patrick. See you. Have a great day.
Let's go.
Beautiful. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one thing to add on that too, I think Vlad
Move on.
wouldn't apply for this wouldn't apply for the Morpheus permission. So the people who sign transactions each week, this still wouldn't change that, right, Vlad? This only changes who has the active and owner or has the active.
Correct. Only active.
Okay, so yeah, it would still be the same people signing it who are currently signing it right now, Patrick, just to be clear. Yeah, and I see Jorge and Eric have their hands up. Jorge?
Yeah, thank you. So regarding the protocol, how is the voting process now? Do we vote now? Do we wait for next week? How is the protocol regarding the proposal just presented, and in general, any proposal?
Is it a question to me?
No, it's an open question to whoever wants to answer it.
So there's two different kinds of proposals that exist right now, basically. One is a proposal to the delegates that we use with the agenda system, basically, where people can put something up on consortium and they could write like TP44, change the MSIG or something like that. And then that can be a proposal to the delegates, where the delegates vote, people who are elected delegates each week. And we have the Eden plus Fractal process at edencareers.com/Eden plus Fractal. There's more details, but you're all familiar with that now, I think. And then if 3 out of 4 councils agree, then that would be the councils approving it, signatories approving it. And then the other kind of proposal is an MSIG proposal that's directly on chain. And that can just be submitted on chain, and then whoever's on the MSIG can sign that whenever they want. And so Vlad just made a topic. He just proposed a topic. He just suggested a topic. He didn't make a proposal to the delegates. So somebody could make a proposal to delegates to see what the delegates think about this. But the way Vlad did it was he just made a topic so we can talk about it here, and then he made an MSIG proposal. There's currently 6 people on the owner permission of the Eden.fractal account, and 12 and 11 people on the active permission. So I think that this is asking the owner permission to sign it, although I'm not totally sure. It might be asking both permissions. So basically the people who are on those MSIG permissions can sign it whenever. And yeah, currently there's that disconnect, whereas something like this could potentially combine those in some way. I hope that makes sense. Does that answer your question, Jorge?
So that means we are not voting today?
No. Well, Patrick has already voted to approve it on the MSIG. and I will not be voting to approve it. And anybody else on the MSIG, I would encourage them to not approve it right now. And then there's no proposal for delegates to approve it or say anything about it right now in the actual breakout room.
How do I approve it?
I don't think that you're on the MSIG, so you're not able to approve it on the MSIG. And then there's no you're a delegate, but there's no proposal to the delegates right now. So yeah, if you want, then in next week, if somebody makes a proposal for the delegates and we can hear what the delegates think, then that would give you an opportunity to approve it. Or if the MSIG changes, like for example, if this changed, then you were a top ranking contributor, then you'd be able to vote to approve it then. But that would be obviously later if it was approved, or if we change the MSIG in some way like we did previously. Eric?
So if I'm hearing right, we all believe in Vlad, so code testing, good. And it sounds like in principle, we like the idea that top ranked would go into that, but I'm hearing some resistance of people just want to see the names for a few weeks and make sure that it comes out right. It sounds more like you know, people need to feel a certain way, and I think people want to see it. It sounds like on paper, a lot of people feel okay with that. So, I mean, for me, it sounds like we want to run it and see the names that it comes up with for a few weeks and go, okay, we feel that's good.
Yep, it sounds good. I agree. That's a great point, Eric, and I think that explains it pretty well. I see Vlad said he had to go, guys. Bye-bye. Josh also he had to go too.
I do.
And
1, 2,
Patrick had to
3.
go.
No.
1, 2, 3, go.
Bye.
Great seeing you, Patrick. Also, Red too said he had to go. Thanks so much, everybody. Epic work, Vlad. Thank you, Dan. EOS on the flip. Dooley, I don't know what Dooley means, but thank you very much, Red.
But watch Avatar, the last airbender, but the second season, then you will find out what Julie means.
Cool.
Cheers,
I look
everyone.
forward to it. I've heard that. Cheers. And thanks so much, Red. It was great seeing you once again. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I suppose that we can wrap it up. It looks like a lot of people had to go early today, and we are almost at 3 hours now. So I'll just say, Eric, I agree with what you're saying there. I think that I would definitely be in favor of just starting up my test account to see how it goes. I know Vlad said it's a waste of time, but I think that that's a good step to take where we can just see how it works. And then it also gives us more time to consider it and just understand it all. Because I know I'm going to go back and listen to this to understand some of the finer details and better understand what Vlad is proposing. But yeah, does anybody else have any other thoughts about the MSIG and Vlad's proposal, or just in general that you want to share before we wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. I get a quick one. I just went to his GitHub a little bit ago, and he has like the WASM there. So if you want to like try it, I'm pretty sure the ABI is there too. You can just upload it to the Wax testnet, and I mean, I know everybody already left, but that would be a good way to sort of test it out, because you wouldn't even need to compile the code, assuming that the WASM is the same. But yeah. Anyway, great to be here. Thank you, Dan. And that's all I got. See you guys next week, and hope to see you at the Aqueduct Fractal, as well as maybe Space Wrangler Joe will show up again.
Yeah, sorry I missed yesterday, buddy.
All good, man.
I self-realized in the evening, though, for sure. For
Good.
sure. I totally did. Yesterday, the evening was super great for me. I taught a AI class. We do that weekly AI class, and so it went really well. And yeah, so I'll talk about that next time, and I will be there.
Cool. Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. That sounds cool with the AI class as well. I'm looking forward to perhaps we can do more about that at some point, Joe, and learning. And then the Aqueduct is super helpful. It's been super inspiring. Is something you want to say, Joe?
You know, Notion has an AI thing going too. I don't know if you've tried that yet. It's messed around with that. I haven't. I haven't gone on Notion yet. I checked it out a little bit. I barely signed up, but I haven't got to play with it yet.
Cool. Yeah, I tried it out, and it is very well integrated. You just hit the space key, and then it's like you can enter the prompt like at any point in any line. You can hit the space key and then type in something for the AI, and the AI generates it, and it's quite good. I haven't tried ChatGPT really, so I don't know how it compares, but it's like pretty incredible, and it can help with a lot of things, like writing things very, very quickly. And yeah, the whole AI. I've been listening to quite a few podcasts, and it's amazing technology in so many ways. It's cool that's built into Notion. So yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring that. And thanks, Douglas. That's a good idea about trying on the Wax TextNet too. So perhaps we can talk more about that soon. Or I mean, if you want to give it a try, then of course feel free. I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but would be happy to discuss that and further explore it. And then yeah, thanks everybody for the great conversation. I'd be curious. I know Rosemary's been pretty quiet listening. I'd be curious if you have any opinions and thoughts about the whole MSIG. Also, too, I know both, I think Joe and Rosemary are both interested in joining Eden on EOS and participating in the election. So perhaps when we can wrap it up soon, and then we can discuss that. And also, if you two want to do inductions, if Eric and Douglas want to stick around, then we could potentially do that, because I think that Eric and Douglas, yeah, you guys are both Eden on EOS members. So if you want, then we could do that now. But yeah, does anybody have any other thoughts? I know Joe too. I think you were fairly quiet about the whole MSIG thing, so I'd be curious if anything else you want to share regarding that, or if there's anything else you just want to share in general while we're still recording, or about Eden on EOS, or if you want to just wrap it up now. I'm happy to go either way. Any thoughts?
You know, I don't know the history of the MSIG. You know, obviously, you know, they always make sense to me because it's a group decision and this is group environment. I kind of got a little bit lost in the details. Like when you said you were getting confused, I think I glossed over at one point there and just totally lost it and didn't fully grasp the full conversation. So that's where I'm at with that one. So I can't even formulate a decent question, I guess is what I'm saying right now.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Joe, for the feedback. And yeah, I can understand it could be overwhelming for people who are just getting into it. The articles I shared, the edencreators.com/msig, and the live chat, if you want to check it out, then I tried my best to explain it at kind of like an introductory level there. So if you're interested in learning more, then I think that would be a good resource. I'd be happy to discuss it as well. But also to, I mean, you don't have to concern yourself too much with it. I know that you're fairly new to the system. There's a lot to learn. So I just appreciate you being here and listening and sharing your thoughts. And then I saw Rosemary ask Eric if he could do it. I'm assuming the Eden on the induction. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Cool. Sounds great. Well, so we get into that. Should we just wrap it up? Any last thoughts, or should we close that now? As far as the recording is, at least. I figure we could do the induction after we record. Probably simpler that way, unless we want to do it while recording, but probably easier to wrap up the recording than do it after, I think.
I'm sorry, I was typing. Do you need me for the induction? I'm happy to stay as well. I know you just asked Eric. I can't remember if it's like how many people you actually need to do
There
it.
needs to be there needs to be 3 current Eden on EOS members. So me,
Okay, cool.
you, and Eric are Eden on EOS members, and then Rosemary and Joe are both interested in joining, I think. So
All right, cool. So I guess we need to do separate for each one, yeah?
yeah, but I guess we could just have us all here and just do it. Like it doesn't need to just be, you know, just the 3 people on the camera. We could have all 5 of us, and we could just do them both right after each other or something like that. I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that would violate the rules as far as I understand. Cool. So we're just gonna hop back in this room, or how did you want to do it?
Well, we could just do it in the same room. I could just end the recording, and then we could just do it there and just start a new recording afterwards. I think that might be the easiest way.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, cool. Yeah. So you're saying something, Rosemary, too, but it was kind of quiet. Was there anything you wanted to add there?
Any better now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. For the proposal, I went so quickly to grab a snack and I missed the whole proposal. It seemed like it was very short.
Okay.
But then after that, I have some questions, but maybe we can ask. Maybe we have to do a brainstorming session.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, yeah, I'd be happy to do a brainstorming session and discuss it. And also, if you have any questions that you want to ask, or if you want to ask any Joe, perhaps after we stop recording, then we could have some more in-depth discussions. Or if you want to ask any now, then feel free. And also, hope you enjoyed your snack as well. And thanks for joining as always and listening and sharing your thoughts.
Of course. I guess my question was, when Vlad wants to add you know how at the moment there's 6 accounts for MSIG, he wants to add one more, which is the hidden fractal one. I kind of hear a bit of a echoing. Don't know if you hear the same, but my question was, does that mean that every account that's registered under hidden fractal would then appear, so that the whole table with the different names, in the alphabetical order, so that they could be reordered? I guess not. I guess I just I don't think it's gonna be that way. But anyway, so that was I don't think this is the case.
I think I can answer a little bit. If I understood like Vlad correctly, the name, like the alphabetical order thing, I think was kind of like a technical thing that he had to deal with in the smart contract that probably wouldn't really affect us. But like the way I understood it is like the 6 people with the highest ranking, like the highest either cumulative respect or distribution of respect over the last 12 weeks, I think it was. The top 6 are given 1 point towards signing a something that, or towards a permission that requires 4 points to sign anything, right? So at least 4 out of the 6 top contributors over the past 12 weeks are needed to execute, for example, a smart contract upgrade. Does that make sense? So only those 6 people have it. And
so why would hidden fractal account would be added to the 6 to make it 7? Where is that coming to place?
Oh, you mean the eosio.code permission?
No, I think you mentioned kind of the very last thing he said, to add hidden fractal EOS account as well to the 6.
I guess that would, I don't know, maybe just to have an extra permission. I don't know enough about like what that account does and who has the permission if it's a separate account, which I assume it is.
That's currently the main account where all the other permissions are on right now, and that's the account he's proposing to change. So I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to there. I don't remember Vlad saying that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to listening again to better understand it, because maybe I totally missed something. And yeah, I think those are good questions, Rosemary, but I'm not sure what the answer is either.
Okay.
So yeah, like you said, a brainstorming session seems like a helpful thing to do. And also, yeah, I want to respect everybody's time too, so we'll have time to do the Eden on EOS. I'm happy to keep talking about the MSIG if y'all would like. But perhaps I just want to make sure that we don't have to go before, because we have a good opportunity to do the inductions for Eden on EOS now. So what do you think? Should we just wrap up the video and then do the inductions now, or any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Well, I do too. I don't know if we were doing a hats thing for a while. I don't know if we should keep doing the hats. We've been doing that. Douglas already has a cool hat, so maybe I'll just throw on this hat because I have it right here as well. It looks like a silly hat. It looks ridiculous. Oh, there we go. We can go upside down. So yeah, thanks everybody so much for being here. It's super inspiring and really appreciate whatever he's doing. Amazing work.
Joe has a hat.
Joe has a hat too. I actually have a better hat over here. This one looks way cooler,
Okay,
I think.
Rosemary, you better get a hat on. Just throw your
Yeah,
headphones
well.
on.
There we go. Maybe I should also do this too.
Eric, where's your hat?
I can get a hat if you need one. I have lots of them.
Where's your hat? You need a hat.
Looks like Eric's going to get a hat. All right,
I'm gonna get
we're
a
doing a hat party again. I'm liking this transition. We've done it a lot lately.
I love the hat parties. That's why I show up.
Right?
Before
It's the hat parties.
Jorge said in the chat, I was like trying to respond and we broke out, but he said I look like a rabbi. Now I think I look like some sort of a priest.
It looks like you have the answers, Douglas. And it looks like you just graduated college too. It's like a, and Eric's got a cool hat too. Eric looks like he's ready to drive.
Cool.
I've got crowns, I've got feathers.
Very cool. Eric is prepared for future hat parties, and I'm looking forward to seeing the crowns and feathers too. It looks like all sorts of unique headwear that Eric has. But I like your hat now. That's very distinct and looks cool. All right, cool. Should we do maybe 3, 2, 1, go Eden?
Yeah, sure. Rad.
Okay, cool. Nice hat as well, Rosemary too. I haven't seen that one. Nice black hat, and also as always the hat from Space Wrangler Joe. The backwards hat. I don't know what it says. Does it say Space Wrangler on it? Los Angeles. Okay,
Los
cool.
Angeles.
And
With
some
Uncle
cool pins.
Fester, I think.
Okay. Nice. Everybody's got cool hats. All right. Well, yeah, thanks everybody so much. Does anybody want to lead us to the countdown? Perhaps 3, 2, 1. And
go. Eden Fractal, or what are we going?
Okay. Go Eden Fractal. Go Eden.
I almost said Eden on EOS. I was like, oh man, what group am I on?
Hey, go Eden on EOS. Go Eric. Good. It's all good. Go hats. Go hat party.
Go hats. Woo! Go coffee.
Go coffee again. Go water. Thank you so much, Water, for making all of this possible. Our sponsors. Thanks, everybody.